since then I had 2 Leafs, 2 i3s, plug-in hybrid X5, this Tesla, and of course everybody has a Model 3 reservation.
That's right. Once you go electric, you don't go back. Hey, Kim here with Like Tesla, and we have a special episode planned for you. We have our friend Michael. He is the former president of EV Club of the South, and he writes for Inside EVs. And we're going to be interviewing him about his new Powerwall 2. He's one of the first to get it, so we're excited to find out a little more information.
So I've been doing EVs since 2013 when the Japanese Leaf became the American Leaf, and you know, as you swallow the pill once, it just keeps going. So in this setup we have a P90DL with a 78 kilowatt battery pack, which is the usable part. There's an i3 that has a 27 kilowatt battery pack. And unfortunately in this corner there is a missing plug-in hybrid X5 because the high voltage battery started acting up, and it's been in the shop for unfortunately almost a month. So we can't show you that, but overall we drive probably 90% electric in this family.
Wow.
I love it. It is like charger heaven. How many chargers do you have installed here?
So there's a charge point here.
Yeah.
It's a little bit long, 25-foot cable.
Okay.
Typically you would need probably a lot
I love
less.
you've got Tesla wheels back there too.
Well, I'll tell you about Tesla wheels in a second. Then we have the high Powerwall charger. It's set at 72 amps because this Tesla is a newer generation. As you know, the older ones would say 80. This is 72.
Yeah.
Then we have, if you walk back here, the i3 gets its juice from a Clipper Creek HP 40, I believe, that has 32 amps. And then if you really need a secondary charge, there's an old 1450 plug.
I know, I love how you offered us, you know, when you go to an EV friend's house.
So there's a little plug here in case you brought your mobile connector, you can still plug in.
Nice.
But the question is, can you actually power all these cars at the same time? And the way this is set up, there's 200 amps dedicated just to the charging area that come in, and you can charge 4 cars at the same time.
My understanding is that the average American uses around 30 kilowatt hours per day of electricity, which is quite a lot compared to people around the world, almost double. We're big consumers. How much electricity are you able to generate off your whole solar setup, and how does that work with the Powerwall?
My little system has about 5.5 kilowatt production or capacity. In a normal, beautiful day like today, I could generate 30 kilowatt hours of battery. During the week, unfortunately, where are you at? You're at work, right? There's nobody at home. The solar keeps producing it and gets sold to Georgia Power. In our case, we sell it at 3.5 cents during the summer, but we purchase power at 15 and higher cents per kilowatt. So we want to store it somewhere, so when we come back home and we turn on the lights, watch the TV, we can actually take it back.
I guess you're probably buying some off of the grid at this point?
Absolutely. If you take the electric vehicles into account, you do buy from you would need a whole wall of power walls right here.
How many have you added up how many you think you would need?
So let's think about the Tesla. So this is a 78 kilowatt usable power. Then we have the plug-in hybrid X5, that's 9.6. And then if you add the i3, that's an additional 27. So what is that? Close to 110 kilowatts. This thing right here is 13.5. Probably need 7 or 8. But the issue, besides...
You have a big wall here.
Yes, besides 7, I don't have enough roof space. So everybody's familiar how the regular Tesla app looks. You've got your controls, you have your car. Right now we're at 90% charged. Then we want to go see how the Powerwall works. So if we switch it to the Powerwall, you can notice that it's giving us an indication that it's charging. We're at 77% of power. And if we click on Power Flow, we can tell that the solar is currently producing 3.4 kilowatts. Out of that, the Powerwall is getting some of it, and then we're actually charging the house. We're actually using it for the house. So let's do this. Let's get some power into the car, and we're gonna say start charging. So let's give it a moment. As you might have heard in the background, the chargers start supply power to the car, and now our amps are changing. And let's just give it a little bit more time. So now we're actually supplying power to the vehicle. So right now we're at 17 kilowatts, so we're getting the max juice. And if we switch to Powerwall, you notice it says discharging and power flow, and this is the best part about it. If you notice it, the car is asking for 17 kilowatts. We're getting 3.5 from solar. We're getting 5 from the Powerwall, and we're buying 8.4 from the grid. If you hit here, you can actually see how much production was done today, and then also overlay the Powerwall and what is happening with the Powerwall.
So when you were deciding to put solar on your house, you do have a lot of trees here. Is this south right here, or
So
what?
the south is actually more that way.
Okay.
So I do have a beautiful tree in front of the house, and in the summer the sun is so high that actually hitting the roof pretty well, but in
Okay.
the winter we're gonna have the sun setting down a lot less.
Okay.
And we've done a lot of calculations. There's great websites. There's Google Solar Roof that you can actually see exactly what your production is, and Google Solar estimated about 5 megawatts a year.
Okay.
Last year I did have a meter running for all the electric cars,
Uh-huh.
how many kilowatts that I consumed, and my number was 11,000, so 11 megawatts. I'll be pretty close in
Okay.
terms of trying to drive green. The prices of gasoline were closer to $3.50, $4 a gallon back in 2013. I generated $4,000 in first year in savings alone, and that was significant.
Yeah.
So I got into that. You start hitting the accelerator. You're realizing it's more enjoyable, it's more instantaneous. And since then I had 2 Leafs, 2 i3s, plug-in hybrid X5, this Tesla, and of course everybody has a Model 3 reservation.
Right. Once you go electric, you don't go back.
Never go back. So, now let's reverse the discussion. You go to a place to rent a car, you go somewhere else, and you actually have to go to the gas station. You have to smell the fumes, and you step back and say, well, I haven't been to the gas station in a very long time. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
It does. I mean, we did the exact same thing
Yeah.
pretty much. We started with the Leaf. We had 2 Leafs, and then we got our X, and now we're on reservation for the Model 3.
Yeah, I watched a lot of your
So-
videos, and you guys take the full advantage of every mile to go electric.
Oh yeah.
And if you think about, the CO2 reduction, the cost, I mean, come on, driving electric is, in this case, it's what, 3 to 4 cents a
Yeah.
mile. A Leaf is 1 to 2 cents a mile. I mean, these are real savings.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody uses it for business.
Right.
What's the write-off? 55 cents. In a gasoline car, the gas is about 25, 29 cents a mile. And then you're making 20 cents a mile just driving electric, and your employer's paying for it.
Yeah.
That's really smart. So that wraps up our Powerwall interview. Hopefully you learned something about solar and the Powerwall and how it all kind of works together, how you can charge your house and your car and your life. If you have questions, write them in the comments below. We'll do our best to answer them for you, and I have a feeling Michael might be on here answering some of them for you as well. Thanks for watching.
We're also getting solar at 3.5, and unfortunately we do have to buy some from the grid. But check this out. If you click on solar, you can actually see your production, and let's just switch it to today. You can see your production, how it's happening. But you can overlay the Powerwall, and notice this. The Powerwall was charging, and now it's discharging. So what does that look like on a normal day? And that's why we switched to yesterday. This is from 1 day ago. We had the solar going up, the Powerwall was charging. I came home, I needed to charge. I plugged it in, and now we were discharging from the Powerwall. And then once I was finished charging, it started going back into the Powerwall. We took a long trip outside town, came back late, and now you can see right here that the Powerwall was discharging as well. But you can take another overlay, and that is your total consumption. Notice when the Powerwall was happening, when we were charging, how much energy was actually demanded from the grid. So let me show you one more part. Notice that you can see what you consume from the grid, but you can also say what you've sold to the grid, which is quite fascinating. So within one app, you can see your total picture, what is happening within your house by layering all of these wonderful facts on it. So I think Tesla has done a fantastic job with this app, but what I was going to show you is the customized part. So you can either make it as a backup only, or you could do a self-powered. And further, you can adjust the reserve. As we've talked about earlier, you can change the reserve, meaning it will never deplete below a certain level unless there's a power failure. And I think that's a fascinating feature of this Powerwall, and especially that it can go all the way to 0 and completely discharge.
So if you wanted to do the Powerwall without solar and maybe just fill it up at nighttime with the cheap energy rate, would that be possible?
I think so, because the way the Powerwall knows how much power to take, it actually reads those CTs that I mentioned before from the solar. So you can probably put those CTs on a normal circuit and feed the Powerwall, and then create a some kind of a rule that the Powerwall has to discharge at a certain time. What's easier with the Powerwall and solar, it actually knows the production that's coming out of the solar panel, so you can decide, okay, will I take some, will I not take some? But I think if you ask an electrician, should it be possible? I think theoretically it can.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, in the city of Atlanta and Georgia Power, you don't need a permit or an inspection to install Powerwall. You do need a permit when you do electrical, you do need a permit when you put solar, you do need inspection when you put in solar, but there's nothing that says you need to have an inspection, so there's a little bit of surprise.
That's interesting, because with this you could ultimately just kind of create your own rate if you wanted to, charge it off the grid. That's obviously not what it's intended for, but...
Well, you can also serve as a backup. So again, if you live in a part of the world where power is not as guaranteed as we have here, that becomes your lifeline. Should something happen, it will do its magic and start feeding the power. Now, again, you can't charge all 3 cars using one Powerwall, but you will be able to run your fridge, to have some lights until the power comes back on.
And look what we have here, a little mini Tesla, just like what we have. What color do you have under there? Blue. Oh. Our 3-year-old always says, a blue S, I want a blue S. If you like our videos, please press the like button and comment below. That really helps my channel grow, as it tells YouTube to share our videos with others and help spread the word of sustainability and EVs. And if you're in the market for an S or an X, or you know someone who is, please use my referral code. Thanks for watching.